Welcome to the All the Stuff podcast, where we jam about money, clutter, and food, and the real stuff under this stuff. Join me, Lisa Carpenter, your resident food coach, along with my co-hosts, money coach Jen Turrell and clutter coach Lisa Sharp, as we help you release what's weighing you down and heal your relationship with food, money, and clutter from the inside out.
Hey everyone, welcome to All the Stuff, where we are going to be talking about money, clutter, food, relationships, all the stuff in life, right? So I'm here with my lovely co-host, Jen Turrell, and Lisa Carpenter. Lisa Carpenter is our food coach, Jen Turrell is our money coach, and I am Lisa Sharp, our resident clutter coach. And today I wanted to talk about goals and goal setting and kind of like, what's the point? You know, do we need to be doing this? How helpful is it? And kind of our own process, you know, because I think everybody sort of has their own idea about goals. I think some people are just like, oh, it's so overwhelming. It takes too long. I never achieve them. What's the point? And then other people who are like on the other end of the spectrum where they're like glued to their goals and come hell or high water, that thing is happening. And, you know, can we get kind of somewhere in the middle that feels good, that's like reality based? But actually gets us where we want to be going. So, and I wanted to talk about this in all of our areas, because in all of our respective areas, clutter, food, money, people really kind of want it done yesterday. You know, it's like when they've made the commitment to buy the program or to hire the coach or to do the thing, it's like, we're like hot to trot, ready to go. Let's make this thing happen. And the reality is there is a lot of legwork, a whole lot of legwork that goes into getting to any one of these areas. And what does that actually mean? What are some reasonable goals? Like, I'd love to hear from the both of you. What is your own process for goal setting? What is your own feeling about goals? And do you use them yourselves? And how do you actually do it? And what are some really good goals that you might say to a new client? Like, what are some of the foundational things that you set up most of your clients with? So who would like to go first?
I'll go first if you want. Okay, so this is Jen Turrell talking, if you're not watching the video. And I'm going to start with what I talk to my new clients about, because I actually have a goal-setting lab or module in my 6-week program. And what I like to start with is a little bit different from what most people start with, especially in terms of financial goals. So I like people to look at their current reality, because a lot of people that I talk to, they want to make some kind of big change. They either want to go from 9-to-5 employment to being self-employed, or they are going through a divorce, or they are going through moving, or some kind of big change. So what I like to look at first is these 4 levels. I call them the 4 levels of goal setting. So the first one is sustain. And this is already happening. Hopefully you are already accomplishing this goal, but I want to see the real number for how much it costs to pay your absolute minimum bills that keep the lights on, the engines running, gas in the car, heat in the house, electricity, and internet. Like, what does that cost? What is your bare minimum? If you had to cut everything else because of some unforeseen event happening, what would you need to subsist on without drastic changes like moving your house if you're not planning on moving? So that's the first level, knowing what that number is. The second level I look at is maintaining your current lifestyle. So this is the things on top of that, again, you are already accomplishing this somehow. So we're looking at what it costs to color your hair and go out to eat. And, let's see, what else are lifestyle type things that could be cut if needs be? You know, maybe the gym membership, unless that is your wheelhouse, like Lisa Carpenter. I would not ever tell you to cut your gym membership if you have one. I don't actually know if you.
I have a gym membership, and
okay,
I have a gym downstairs.
And you have a gym downstairs. And I see photos of you doing, 22 push-ups a day for PTSD. And, I know that you use yours. So I would never tell you to cut yours. For you, I would put the gym membership in that maintain, because that is, in the sustain, because that's part of you sustaining your life. For most people, like me, it's more in the maintain, because it could be cut because I don't use it that much. So anyways, that's your second level. And again, I want you to know how much it costs to maintain your lifestyle. Because again, if something drastic happens, or if you have a sprint goal, like if you were trying to get a down payment on a house and it's available and you need another $1,200, what could you cut this month to try to get to that goal right now to get that house you want? So that's another good number to use. The next level, I call it next level goals. So these are in 3 to 5 years, very soon things. Like again, if you're trying to save money for down payment on a house, if you have kids going to college, if you want to save up and get married and do a giant wedding and a big, trip afterwards or something, those would be those sort of near-term goals. And not only do I want to know what they are, I want actual numbers on them. So if you're taking a big trip, calculate out the airline and the hotel and whatever else. And prioritize them. Like, what are you saving towards first, and then next, and then next. And then the long-term goals are more, longer than 5 years out there, 5, 10. Retirement, that's the dream level goal where you really want to get to. And again, I like those to have real numbers on them. So I look at these goals, not in terms of like arbitrary monthly targets for income or in terms of just like large, like I need $1 million in my retirement account. Like, what is that for? What are you going to do with it? And I do like people to go through actual like retirement calculators so we can kind of calculate how much money you want to live off each year. Things always change. There's inflation. There are all kinds of things that go into that calculation. But for instance, if you roughly want to have $80,000 a year coming in off of your retirement accounts, you usually calculate about $1 million for every $40,000 you want in income. And that doesn't count things like income properties, book royalties, ongoing other things that you could have. But that's what I start with my clients, is looking at these 4 levels. And I do this for myself too. And it can change if you, say, move house to a more expensive place, or there are times in life when it's worth recalculating and seeing. And as you go through the goals, as you check them off, so say, okay, kids are in college now, or I did the down payment. Like, what is the next place that the money flows into? So you kind of have pots. And once you fill up one, the money starts flowing to the next one. For myself, however, I'm going to say in terms of non-financial goals and business goals, I have tried so many different programs. I did the Getting Things Done, the David Allen one. I did do Todd Herman's 90-day year. I've read the 12-week year. What I've ended up with, like all of them, I've gotten something from. Mm-hmm. None of them completely worked for me because as much as I think Todd Herman has a very interesting approach and lots of people love it, I am not really great with a coach kind of yelling at me feeling. Do you know what I mean? I did sports sometimes, but I'm not that sporty of a person. So having someone being like, go, do the last mile, take it, that feeling didn't work that well for me. What I ended up doing is every 90 days, well, I usually buy 4 of these at the beginning of the year, and they're 90-day planners from Savor the Success. And they let me plan out months, weeks, and days at a time. And it also has this little area down here for the savor. Describe the activity that you are going to savor today. And it also has a place for the beautiful chaos as well. So it reminds you not only to do, there's an area for the water cup, which is where you put scheduled things. Then you have your brain dump, and you have to work the brain dump things in between the scheduled things. You have your 3 weeds, which are the 3 frogs, the biggest things you have to do that day. And then 3 feeds, which are, like pitching something to a media company or sending out, things that could eventually bear fruit. But for right now, you're just planting seeds. And that's what I've ended up, the last 2 years I've used this planner, and it has worked pretty well for me. I put my overall 90-day goals in the front, and I just kind of work towards them as the month goes on. I'm not.
Does it give you a full month view,
Yes.
Does it give you a full month view and a full week view for calendar scheduling?
So here's the month view.
Yep. Okay.
And then on each tab, see on the edges here, there are tabs, and you write down what you want to do that week. On the back of it gives you the week. You write down your basic things for the day. There are several places. What are you learning? What do you want to do differently? What's flowing? What's not working? What's gorgeous in the chaos? And then on your daily views, you have scribbles and notes and, places to plan out as things go. That's later in the week, so I don't have, that was yesterday, that one, which is completely filled up.
Cool.
And then you check them off as you go along. And anything that I don't check off, I do make myself rewrite if it still needs to be done. Some things I just let go.
I've yet to find myself a planner that I actually like.
Yeah.
So
it fits so nicely in my purse too. It's just chunky enough to feel.
I bought that one because you recommended it last year. And you got to know I'm kind of a planner nerd, right?
Okay.
So, I really liked it. I thought I really liked the approach. I liked that it was multifaceted. It wasn't just geared to one area. like just a business like that, you could definitely use that planner for business and personal and just weave it all together, which I really like. Cause that's what I do. I know some people really like to have a work one and a home one, but because I run my own business, it has to go together because that's the way my life works. But, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend that myself. I thought it was pretty pricey. Because you do have to buy them quarterly. I don't know, it was like $30 or something for each one. So is that about right? So you're spending like $120 a year thereabouts?
I think you're probably right. Yeah. But it is something that I keep with me and use every single day. So
yeah. And I'm such a big proponent of doing what works. Just do what works. So if you talk about like, cost per use, right? So like in anything that you buy for your life, there is like a cost per use. So you buy, $1,000 couch from IKEA that wears out every 3 years and you're replacing it every 3 years versus spending $8,000 on something that is like Italian and, leather and all kinds of juicy wonderfulness, but you keep it for 30 years. Your cost per use for buying the thing that's very expensive is actually far less than the cheaper thing. And, sometimes in life you need to buy the cheaper thing because that's where you are financially. I'm not saying go spend the, $8,000 on a couch. But the point is like with planners, if it's more expensive, but you actually use it, buy the more expensive one that's a pleasure to use, that makes sense to your brain versus just buying the cheapy one because that's all, that's just what you wanted to buy, but you never use it. It's like, okay, well, I only spent $12 on it. We're like, that's great. It's lived in your drawer all year. That's not, you've actually lost $12. Whereas you spent 120, but you actually moved towards your goals. You got more stuff done and you felt more in control of your life because you knew where all the moving pieces were because they were parked in one place. I would say that's an excellent return on investment. So, I mean, everybody's different, but because I'm such a planner nerd, I never stick with just one. Oh God.
Oh, okay.
Oh God.
You try them all out.
I could go on. Yeah.
I'm just sitting back taking this all in.
I know. Lisa Carpenter has some different ideas about this.
Which is good.
And we do, which is great because it's all valid. It all works. Whatever works for you.
And actually, a lot of planners didn't work for me that I've tried over the years.
Oh my God.
7 Habits planner did not work.
Which one?
Desire map?
7 Habits planner.
Oh yeah.
Tried that. Yeah, I've tried. What's the regular day runner? All those ones. For some reason, either they weren't the right size, I couldn't fit enough on them. Some were too big. Exactly. And it is true. If I had like when I first bought this, when I buy all 4 at once, it is $120 ish. You're right. Yeah. And that would have seemed too much before I tried just one. And actually, I tried the monthly one first, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to buy 12 of these." Like I'd rather. And I live my life much more quarterly. That's how I think about the year is going through the quarters.
And that's another great example of how does your brain work? Like I don't necessarily think in quarters. I do a little bit more because I'm in business, but honestly, I wouldn't remember unless all of my other business friends were like, "Oh, it's fourth quarter today." Like,
do your quarterly taxes.
So, yeah, right. Exactly, because Jen is like, "Do your quarterly taxes." All business owners, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." So again, it's like it's about what works for you. Some people would need a lot of detail in a planner. Some people wouldn't need any planner and they could just do a notebook where you're just putting things down. I personally love the bullet journal idea, which is you can Google that or better yet, go to YouTube and just put in bullet journal and you'll see like 50 million examples of how to do it. And it's just taking a notebook and creating an index. And I'm a former librarian, so I'm like all about the indices, right? So you just basically are building out what are the areas of your life that you'd like to be writing. And it could be a gratitude journal. It could be how many times I walked the dog this month. It could be like anything you want it to be. It's like super, super creative, but it's more labor intensive because you're actually creating it yourself. But again, do what works for you. If you enjoy that sort of a process and you would actually use it, then go do that. And by all means, try different things. But anyway, I want to hear more about what other ones you've tried.
Oh, my other ones that I've tried? Let's see. I'm having trouble remembering the specific ones because I have for the past more than 2 years. 2 years I've done the 90-day ones now, and before that I did the monthly for a bit. But yeah, I've tried a lot of organizational systems and productivity systems that involve, goal setting and planning things out. Let's see what else. I never did the Leonie Dawson one, but I hear a lot of people do that. Have you guys done that one?
I get them every year. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that your go-to?
It's one of mine.
I'll tell us some more of yours.
Yeah.
I'm running out of,
No. I think it's really interesting. And the point of all of this is that the worth of a system is only as good as how much you actually use it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, you can set up systems so the cows come home in any facet of your life. It can be your business, how you organize your pantry, like your paperwork, whatever. They're your online systems, like Lisa was talking about in one of the podcasts before about, like having a VA and getting all this, all the different, machinations of creating a business and running a business. What are those systems? And systems are awesome. Obviously, I believe that. But if they're so complicated that you don't use them, then they're not worth anything. It's a dud. So, and that's okay. Part of getting organized is figuring out which systems work for you and which ones don't. So try something on. If it doesn't work, don't take it personally. It just didn't work. It's like, I don't really like doing this. So as a planner person myself, I have done a lot. I've done all the day runner, all the things that were popular in the 90s. I've done David Allen stuff. David Allen is probably the most formative for me, influential person, I should say, for me, in terms of productivity. I love his work.
I really love his writing out in past tense, like at the beginning of the year, date it the end of that year that you're going into and say everything that you accomplished. That's something I took from the David Allen system that each year I try to write. Though this year I'm going to be so far off. So many things came up. I should go back and try to do what I thought I would do.
That's life, right?
Yeah. But is that part of what you do with goals?
I do that with my monthly goal setting. I write in the in present tense as if it's that thing has already happened. Personally, with goal setting stuff, I think I've refined my process a lot over the last several years. I used to not goal set at all. I'm a EINFP. In Myers-Briggs speak, which is, if you haven't taken it, we'll put a link to the test below. It's just this really cool, like, sort of personality gauge. It just sort of explains some about how your brain works. So in that personality type, and Lisa is also this personality type, we're really into possibilities. We're really into the potential of things. We're not so hot with the hard endings and the super structured and it has to be this way. We like a lot of flexibility. So it's funny that I'm a professional organizer, but because I personally love a lot of open-endedness, but it's helped me with my clients a great deal because I get where they're coming from. I'm like, yeah, you could do it that way or you could do it this way. But so goal setting was a little tricky for me. It felt a little bit too constrictive, or not fun. And now that I've done it for quite a while and I've seen the benefits of it, I do it pretty regularly. I do set my monthly goals for my business and my personal goals. And my personal goals are always about self-care. It's like journaling daily, taking a walk with my husband 5 out of 7 days, keeping on track with my eat program, so it's not like a hard, like I have to like lose weight or anything like that. It's more like, am I taking care of myself? Am I making that a priority and not just paying lip service to it? Am I actually doing the things that make me feel most connected in my own life? So that's not it's not super quantitative, and I don't really care a whole lot about quantitative data in that sort of, it's just more of a reminder. So I think goal setting can be a lot of different things, and I don't think there's a right way to do it. I think the right way to do it is the way that works for you and your brain.
I agree.
So Lisa,
as I'm sitting here quietly, just taking everything in, I have a love-hate relationship with goal setting. I'm a really great goal setter when I want to, and I typically achieve my goals. High five for me. And I've also gotten my ass kicked by not achieving my goals. So, last year when my launch didn't go the way I wanted it to, that was the first time that I ever kind of had to look at, what do you mean I didn't hit my goals? And I had to really redefine what that was going to look like for me, because then I went into what's the point in setting the goal if you're not going to reach it? Yet this is part of what I teach inside my program. So it's about, goals for me is about more like, this is what I want for myself, and now I'm going to let it go. So I'm not necessarily going to focus on the goal, but what is my intention? So the acronym that I use inside my program is AIR, A-I-R. So your attention is kind of your goal, right? But you set it, and then you know that this is what you want to do. It's written down in your journal, your planner, whatever you want to do. And then the I is for intention, because intention is the action that you have to take to move you towards the goal. Mm-hmm. So as long as every day I'm showing up and putting the intention, like my intention is focused on what I'm wanting, that's kind of how I roll now. And then R stands for repeat. So every single day. So, at the time we're recording this, I'm getting ready to teach my EAT program live again. So I know that I would love to have 10 new women inside my program. That's my goal. Mm-hmm. But I'm not attached to it. So my intention is that every single day I'm going to show up. I'm going to talk about what I need to talk about. I'm going to do the things that need to be done in order to facilitate that goal coming to life. But I don't hold on to it so tightly that it makes or breaks me anymore. So I ask my clients to look at their goals as well. Like, do your goals matter to you? I think that that's something we have to even backtrack on, because a lot of people set goals and they don't even really know why they're setting them, right? Like, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, that's great. Why? What about that inspires you? Do you and again, if we go back to that episode we did, moving away from pain versus towards pleasure, even with my program, well, why do I want 10 women in there? Well, I know why, because 10 women are going to bring an amazing new energy to the group. I've got a lot of my alumni participating. And 10 is just kind of, I don't know, it's a 1 and a 0. It makes me happy. Doesn't seem too high, doesn't seem too low, seems comfortable in a cozy room. And I know what it adds to my bottom line as well if 10 people go on a payment plan. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But again, I'm not gripping onto it so tightly that it'll make or break me. So goal planning for me has really changed over the years, and I tend not to set too many goals for myself at once. So I've got a lot of intentions for my day. Like, my intention is to take care of my health, to eat well, to get to bed early, but I don't really have a goal attached to them. Yeah. But that's just how I intentionally live my life, because it supports me feeling my best. In my business, I try not to have too many goals. Like right now, like I said, I'm focused on my EAT launch. And then after that is done, I'm focused on what my launch in 2017 is going to look like. So this final quarter, interestingly enough, and this is the first time I've ever done this, is about planning what's going to happen in first quarter of 2017, which is really uncomfortable for me because, like Lisa said, don't love structure, don't love doing things in advance. I like kind of this free flowing. I don't like to be held hostage by my goals. But part of my Achilles heel is that I don't have enough structure in place. So I'm still working on creating that, which means a lot of my goals are going to be focused on, again, continuing this kind of systems and structures and making it a little bit easier for myself. So I think I kind of went off in a whole weird circle there, but that's how I relate to goals. So I really talk to my clients about making sure that they're not holding too tightly onto their goals, getting underneath them and really figuring out why those things are important to them. What about them do they feel inspired by? And then not focusing on the goal and focusing on what do you need to do today? Because it doesn't matter what the freaking goal is. It matters what you do every single day in this moment that is going to move you towards that goal. So I don't have a fancy planner. I have notebooks. I write down like the 3 things that are most important. Whatever doesn't get done gets carried over to the next day. And some days I don't even get to work on any of the things that are super important because other work comes up, and that's okay too, as long as I know the direction that I'm heading in. The other big thing that has changed for me is I don't put a timeline on them anymore. Right? So before we hopped on this, I said, my VA just called me and, she's not going to be done my sales page that's supposed to go live tomorrow. Oh, well, I guess I'll just push back the day of my launch a couple days. No big deal. Whereas a lot of other people, because the goal was, this is the day I launch. This is the day the cart closes. This is the day we do this. So I like freedom and flexibility within my goal setting. That's what works for me. But I also have to stay mindful that I don't start making excuses and right? So there's no right or wrong way here. Whether you're super disciplined about your goals or whether you're, more on the other side like I am, there's no right or wrong way. Take what works for you, leave the rest. I'm going to get a new planner next year. I was using the Passion Planner this year. I like it because it gives me my days and times so I can see everything that's on my week. I need to see everything that's on my week, all my appointments, who's scheduled. But it's too big.
Yeah.
Too big. I want it smaller. I don't need something so big.
I do have a smaller size.
But they don't have the smaller size where it's dated. You have to put in the numbers yourself. Yeah, and I've done that before. And what happened was I dated it wrong. And that really screwed things up. So, okay. You miss a week. Like it's not even in the calendar because that's kind of.
You just totally.
Not okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that. I had the Passion Planner this year too, and I used it for a while. What I always find is that with each planner, there's always something that's good, that like really does work. And so I just sort of like pack that into my little mental toolbox. I'm like, okay, I might do that, or that really worked, or I really saw the benefit of that. And so I'm always taking the current system that I have and changing it. It's like a compulsion for me. I can never leave things as they are. I'm like, I'm just going to change this a little bit and tweak that and color that in and put some stickers on this thing and totally not use this part. I'm like always customizing whatever it is that I have. This is true across the board in my life. It's just, I have to put my own Lisa stamp on it. Like, okay, this is now mine. So, but I did that, and I really like the Passion Planner. I would definitely recommend that one. I think it's a really good one. It is a full size. It's like 8.5 by 11. But it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And aesthetics are very important to me. So I ended up getting an Erin Condren planner because it's like ultra pretty.
I think we need a Lisa Sharp planner is what we need.
You know what? I bought the Danielle Laporte one, which was really pretty.
It is pretty.
And I hated it. So I bought a second one because I thought, okay, well, maybe the other one will work better and be more functional. It was smaller. It was beautiful. Hated it even more.
Didn't work. See?
The paper was lovely, but you couldn't really erase on it. The font was, hated it.
See,
it's
Lisa,
so
I think
funny. I need to do a blog post on this. I can see it.
Yeah, your study of all of these planners, and we can give you our input about the planners we've used, but I think maybe something to do, since you take all of the little bits from all the systems you've tried and liked, for those of us who have struggled with these other planners, maybe you could come up with, maybe not the penultimate planner, but
no such
ultimate
thing.
Lisa planner.
Yeah.
Or this year's Lisa planner. Each year you could change it. You could add, every year you could be like, oh, I'm customizing it like this, so next year's model will have this on it now.
Oh.
I like that idea.
That would be fun. I would actually really enjoy that process. When I was in high school, and I've told you guys before, like I was like this punk rock goth kid, which is like really funny because I was super organized. And
punk rock goth with the
I'm like I know I'm weird. So on a lot of levels.
You've had many transformations.
I have. That's definitely true. But I always like doing my own thing, right? So that this is the common denominator, do my own thing. And that is what I do in every facet. But when I was in high school, I used to buy, calendars and stuff to track. I mean, this is like when I was like junior, senior, when I actually had stuff to track. But I never liked the calendars that I bought. So I always made my own. I'd like sit there with a ruler and, felt tip marker and create. And so like I was always really organized. And when I went to college, at one point I worked 4 jobs and was in college. So I had to like, my time was like to the minute. Because I had so many different places to be. And so that's what I did. I created my own. So I guess maybe I should do that.
Maybe it's time.
Maybe so. And one thing that I think is good to do with goal setting too is to periodically check in. Like when I talk to people about doing kind of cash flow mapping, when I talk to people about setting like monthly targets and things like that, I again like to look at like what did last month look like and what can we improve upon rather than just saying, I'm going to make $10,000 this month or I'm going to make $5,000 this month. Because I see people doing that and then
so true.
Inflated by not hitting that goal. But if you don't look at where you're at and what is working right now and what can you expand on and then set the goal based on that, like if it takes 5 calls for every 1 person who signs up for something, like based on that ratio, how many calls do you need to schedule to get this thing? Or looking at your Facebook ad conversions or, whatever it is that you've been doing, let's see how you've been converting clients or selling widgets or whatever it is you do. Yep. And then what can you do more of with the hopefully predictable outcome of getting this? And then if that didn't happen, okay, let's check back and see what happened. What else can we change to make it so you can hit your goal next month? Because again, I've heard people say I stopped setting goals because I wasn't hitting them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rather than looking at okay, what about the goal wasn't working? Where was there a disconnect between the actions you were taking and the outcome that you were trying to get?
I love that, Jen.
At implementing that for myself, because there are plenty of times where things come up and I don't manage to do it. But I think it's a great way to look at it. Start last month was last month's goal, your actual income. Now this month, let's,
So and the episode we did on stop and smell the progress.
Yeah.
Like you may not have hit your goal. You may not have hit your goal, but are you actually stopping to appreciate how much further along you are? Because I know that's been a huge thing for me. So I maybe didn't hit this, but hey, this many new people I connected with and this, whatever it may be. But I think that's such an important part. Again, that leads into the intentions, right? Making it putting some intention behind having those victory markers in place that have nothing to do with, they're not the end goal. They're markers on the way that you can at least say, okay, I'm not there yet, but I've done X, Y, and Z, and I'm continuing to progress. So that's just
totally. Even a launch that didn't hit the financial goal, you created a product that's in the world that exists now.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Yeah. So much came out of that. Like that was one perspective that it didn't do well, but it actually did really, really well. And it created so much for me and so much for my business. So I can't even look at it. I don't even look at it the same way anymore, but it was the catalyst that needed to happen for me to look at a lot of stuff within myself and change things in my business. So I'm really grateful it went the way it went. And that's another thing about goals. Sometimes we don't hit our goals because we're not meant to hit them.
Yep.
But that is not the path we're meant to walk. So like for my women, you've tried to lose weight a gazillion times and you haven't lost weight. Maybe it's time to look at another way. Maybe it's time to stop beating your head against the wall. Just saying, just throwing it out there, right?
Oh, so true. Okay, two quick things I want to say about things that you guys both just said before we wrap up. But Jen, I love what you said about revisiting the goal, seeing if you are emotionally aligned with it, if there's like a compelling reason to do it. Are you inspired or are you just like, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. Like
everyone else says this number, so I must.
This does not work in any way, shape, or form. It might work for a day, but it might work for a week. But that's about it. Human beings don't do that. We will do something that we feel good about. We are drawn to inspiration, right? So this is like, are you inspired? And looking back at what did you do last month, and what worked? And how can you do more of that this month to further you toward that goal? And were there things that you did last month that, I don't know, like say if you have an online business and you really hate marketing and you were like, I need to be doing more marketing. It's like, well, I keep saying I need to do the marketing, but I'm not doing it. Maybe I need to think outside of the box and think like, oh, maybe I need to hire somebody to do this. Maybe I need to get out of my own way and get somebody else to do this for me. Or maybe I need to put more emphasis on selling X, Y, or Z goods or services. And that's actually one of the reasons I really like the Leonie Dawson planners, because for business specifically, because she does break it down like that. It's like, okay, so you want to make $10,000 in a month. How are you going to do that? Not just, my goal is $10,000 a month, but I'm going to keep doing the same thing that I've been doing every single month and I've been making $5,000. Like, doesn't work that way. So looking at like, what is the actual breakdown of the action steps that you need to do, and also amplify. What can you do more of in a way that's more effective, efficient, whatever, that feels good, that's really, it feels really aligned. And now I forgot what I was going to say about what Lisa said.
Well, and if you hate marketing, I'm just going to throw this in there too. Maybe you need to reframe on marketing as making connections with people, relationship building rather than marketing.
So true.
Your perspective. Yeah. I hate the idea of marketing, but I love relationship building. I love meeting people.
So good at it.
See, there's the words coming back again.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know what
word episode.
Yeah, the word episode. So check that out as well.
So true. Ooh, this has been juicy, you guys. I hope that this has been helpful to our audience. I think, there are a lot of different ways to look at this, and I do think it's really important, but I don't think it's like the ultimate thing. And like Lisa was saying, it really needs to feel good and be for the right reasons. And it needs to be about moving in the direction rather than the end goal. I think, again, it's all the journey. The journey is the important part.
The journey is the destination.
Yeah, exactly.
I think especially with health and weight loss, that's one place where every time I have attempted it with an actual poundage lost goal, that's much harder than the drink lots of water. And I'm sure you guys can.
Because your weight has zero, and your weight on the scale has zero inspirational value.
It doesn't. It makes me feel
that's
heavy.
That's why you never will get there. Because even when you get to that weight, it doesn't hold any value for you.
Yeah. But doing knowing like I need to walk, I need to exercise, I need to drink water, I need to prep my food, like each one of those things, I'm like, oh, I can do that today. Oh, I can do that today. Yeah,
it's reasonable.
20 pounds. Oh, I can't do that today. Like you're right. There's no action, immediate action that makes me feel like I've gotten there. Yeah.
The intention. You can say you want 20 pounds off, but what is your intention going to be today that will help move you towards that? And let that be enough, right? Like right now today, one meal at a time, one choice at a time, one cup of water at a time.
I think that's a good wrap up.
I think that's a great
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So don't forget to, if you love the podcast, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, because the more people rate and review us, the more people will find us, which is awesome.
And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and comment below this episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you set your goals, what your favorite planner is. We'd love to hear that.
Mm-hmm. And definitely come over and join our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group that is for the podcast, and we're in that group every single day, answering questions, getting feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this particular episode. Are you a goal setter? Is that something that's important to you? Is it something that you love doing, or something you hate doing and don't think it's worthwhile? Because that's totally legit too. Come over to the group and join the group and tell us what you think. We would love to hear from you. We'll put the link to that Facebook group in the show notes.
Cool. All right. Well, until next time, ladies.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.